Hey everyone, Scott here, and today I thought I'd make a video to talk about what's new in the latest update to the rule manual, which is version 1.18. It was updated on the 12th of March. By the time you're seeing this video, that's probably about 2 weeks ago. But seeing as there was only a few updates, I thought I'd be able to go through all of them in a single video for you here today. So let's just jump straight into it. So in this video, we're going to be talking about these 5 rule updates. Going to be going through them in numerical order based on the section number that they appear in within the rule manual. Any text that is new, as we can see with all the text I have on screen for you here. So let's look at the first update now. That is 7-1-4-2-1, quite long, and we can see it's this bit here in red. And it says when a card with a skill that has the trigger condition at the end of battle, where this card was used in a combo, is placed in a drop area from a player's combo area, as in step 7-1-4-1, the checkpoint described in 7-1-4-2 occurs for that skill. So basically all this is saying is that if a card has the text on it that says when it's used in a combo at the end of the battle to do something, this rule is just saying it goes to the drop area, then the skill triggers. So I thought it would be good to give an example so we can better understand what this update is actually saying. On the left there we have Nappa, Demolition Man. And this is an example of one of the type of cards the rule was talking about. It has, as part of its auto, at the end of a battle in which you combo with this card from your hand, play this card. So basically, based on the way this ruling is worded, you use the Nappa during the combo step, and then assuming your leader is red or green, at the end of the battle, this Nappa then goes to the drop area. Then the auto triggers and you play the card. And what's interesting to note about this is the card is actually played from the drop area. So if you have a card like Freezer Army Healing Pod on the right that has an auto that triggers when a green battle card is played from your drop, which the Nappa, being both red and green, would count for that. Because the Nappa is placed in the drop area and then the skill activates, and the skill is simply to play it, so it gets played from the drop area, so it fulfills the condition on Healing Pod. This is something that a lot of people are already familiar with. I know I was familiar with this interaction. So I think this is just something that where they've added it to the rules manual just to have it in a place where people can reference it again in the future if it ever comes up. So next up we have rules 835 and 836. In this case we're going to look at 835, then an example for that rule. Then we'll come back, take a look at 836, and then we'll have 2 examples actually for that rule. But basically both these rules have to do with cards having their skills negated and what type of skills that they can then go on to gain during the turn. So first up we have 835, which says when a card's skills are negated by a skill that doesn't specify the type of skill to negate, that card can't gain new skills from effects. And just in the middle there, it has an example of a skill that doesn't specify the type of skills to negate, which is, i.e., choose one of your opponent's battle cards and negate its skills. In that case, because it's not specifying a certain type of skill, it negates all the skills on the card, and it's basically saying then it can't gain any new type of skill. So an example of that would be, let's say I swing at you with a battle card and you activate the counterattack on Release from Evil. You choose the card I'm attacking with, ignoring barrier. You negate its skills for the turn. So in this case, all these skills on the card I'm attacking with are negated because it doesn't specify only a certain type of skill to be negated. And then let's say during my combo step, because Release from Evil doesn't negate the attack is still going through. During my combo step, I tried to use Furthering Destruction Champer to give the card I'm attacking with double strike. That would not work. Because the card I'm attacking with has had its skills negated for the turn, that also prevents it from gaining new skills for the duration of the turn. So, like I say, I won't be able to give it double strike with Furthering Destruction Champer. I think that's pretty straightforward. I think that's something a lot of people know. Again, I think they're just adding this in to clarify that and have something that people can specifically point to. So let's go back to look at 836. which says when a card's skills are negated by a skill that specifies the type of skill to negate, that card can't gain new skills of the specified type from effects. And again, in the middle there, it has an example. So, i.e., choose one of your opponent's battle cards and negate its keyword skills. That is an example of a skill that is specifying the specific type of skills to be negated on the battle card, in this case, keyword skills. So let's look at an example now. We have this pan on the left, and we're going to assume that I played it using swap so that its first auto would trigger. I get to choose a Goku's Lineage from a deck and one from my hand that both have different card names and energy cost of 5, and they're played with their keyword skills negated for the turn. So let's say that I then attack you with one of these 5-cost Goku's Lineage that has had its keyword skills negated for the turn, and the attack goes through, and then during my combo step, again, I try to use Further in Destruction Champer. This is another example where Further in Destruction Champer would not work because the card I'm attacking with has had its keyword skills negated for the turn, and Double Strike being a keyword skill means that it cannot gain Double Strike. However, where this rule differs would be in this next example. So in this example, we're going to assume that you have used the active battle on this Super Baby 2 Malicious Majesty to give all my leader cards and battle cards minus 20,000 power for the turn, and it also negates their non-keyword skills for the turn. So let's say that then, after that, I am attacking you with either a battle card or my leader, it doesn't really matter. Again, the attack goes through, and again, in this case, I want to use Further in Destruction Champer. Now, in this example, because the card I'm attacking with has had its non-keyword skills negated for the turn, it means it can still gain new keyword skills for the turn, because the type of skill it's gaining, in this case a keyword, is different from the type of skill that has been negated. Like I say, the baby negates non-keyword skills. So this is an example where the Champer would work, and I would be able to gain Double Strike on a card that I'm attacking with. So again, just to quickly summarize, if a certain type of skill has been negated, whether it's a keyword skill, non-keyword skill, something like that, it means the card is only prevented from gaining new skills of that type. Skills of other types it can still gain. So next up we have 859, and rule 859 says, unless specified otherwise, if the text refers to a character name or special trait, it's referring to cards in a leader or battle area. Now this is very similar to a rule that I made a whole video on that says that skills that reference battle cards, if it doesn't specify the area, is referring to the battle area. Again, like I say, this is very similar to that. Really, the only two type of cards at the moment in the game that have either a character name or a special trait are leader cards and battle cards. So I think really the reason they've added this is it allows them to be a bit more concise within the text of skills on cards. So for example, this Kaioken Son Goku Heavy Toll here, you look at his active main, it says switch one of your Goku Lineage leader cards to active mode, then get his skills for the game. I think this rule is just so that they don't have to say something like choose one Goku's Lineage leader card in your leader area and switch it to active mode. You can see the way they've written it on the card there is a lot more concise. Obviously, if they, like it says, if they do specify otherwise when they're referring to either a character name or special trait, so say there was a card that said choose Goku's Lineage in your drop area, in that case, since it's specifying drop area, this rule would not take precedent over that. Another example would be this Goten Xeno promo that was just revealed. You can see here in its active main, it says choose this card and one of your Trunks Xeno cards and send them to their owner's warps. So like the ruling says, this is talking about a character name and doesn't specify an area, so therefore it means it's looking for a Trunks Xeno in the leader area or battle area. Because you can't send your leader to the warp to pay for this cost, you would have to use a Trunks Xeno in the battle area. So next up we have 1092. And this is one that created a little bit of a stir when it was first brought up on the main Facebook discussion group for the game. This rule is basically saying that Revenge can be activated against both battle cards and unison cards. And when this rule was first like I say, mentioned on the Facebook group. There was a lot of debate back and forth about what this actually meant in regards to unison cards. Some people saying, well, does this mean that you can KO the unison card? Does it mean that the unison card loses a marker if you activate Revenge in response to one of its attacks? But the main consensus from a lot of the top judges in this game seems to be that this rule essentially changes nothing. If you look above it at 10.9.1, it says that Revenge is an auto keyword skill that is described as the skill activates when this card becomes a guard card, KOing the attack card at the end of the battle. If we combine that with looking at the definition for KO within the game, which you can see down here is section 10.1.1. It says KO refers to the act of moving a battle card from the battle area to its owner's drop area. So because it's saying that KOing only applies to battle cards and Revenge KOs the card, it would mean that if you activate Revenge in response to the attack of a Unison card, that it would basically have no effect. Unisons can't be KO'd. So as for why this rule was added or updated, I'm not 100% sure if this is something that was changed or added. I couldn't find the previous version of the rules manual to reference it against. If anyone does know how I can find earlier versions of the rule manual, do let me know in those comments down below. I would love to have been able to reference which of these rules are brand new additions versus which are just slightly tweaked wordings. Really, how this skill could become relevant in the future, there's three main ways that I see that they could do it. The first is they could add unisons to the rule defining KO. They could say that KO also refers to placing a unison in the drop area, or removing a single marker from a unison perhaps. The second way they could do it is they could add a reference to unison in the rule defining the Revenge. So it could say that Revenge is a keyword skill that activates when the card becomes a guard card. And then they could say that either the battle card is KO'd, or you remove a marker from the unison, or place the unison in the drop area, something like that. So the third way that I could see that they can make this rule become relevant is that they could add skills to the game that activate when Revenge is activated. So for instance, they could give maybe a leader or a battle card something along the lines of an auto that says when one of your cards activates Revenge, draw a card. And then in that case, while Revenge might not actually do anything to the unison your opponent attacks with, you would still technically activate Revenge, so you would still get the benefit from an auto like that. Then lastly, we have 10.22.2 is about the skill Deflect, and it says Deflect takes effect when a player announces they are going to play a battle card with Deflect and remains in effect when the battle card is actually in play. Now, I think this is one of the rules that has been tweaked slightly as opposed to being added completely, otherwise I think it would be below 22.3 or would be 22.4. But again, like I said, I don't have version 1.17 to reference this against. I believe the thing that has been added is that second part, the and remains in effect when the battle card is actually in play. I would assume that that is the thing that needed to be updated, because I think a card having Deflect when it's being played is pretty obvious, and I think that is something they would have covered. So I'm going to give an example based on the assumption that it is that second part that has been updated. So the example I'm going to give here is, say you have played this Garlic Jr. that has Deflect, and then you go to play another battle card, and I try to use this Yamcha, Merciless Barrage, to counterplay the second card that you're playing. I want to give that card minus 15k, and I also want to choose this Garlic Jr. However, this rule that we're seeing here, 10.22.2, says that Deflect also is still active while the card is in the battle area. So I would not be able to choose it with this Yamcha skill, because this Yamcha skill to give it minus 15k power is a counterplay, and this Garlic Jr. has Deflect. So it is being protected. I mean, obviously this is something that makes sense with the way Deflect is worded. If we go back and look, Deflect simply says this card isn't affected by counterplay skills. There's nothing really within the card effect itself that says it only lasts for when a card is played. I mean, it makes sense that it would still be in effect while the card is in the battle area. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you could leave a like, that would really help me out. If you've got anything else you want to add, let me know in those comment sections down below.